Well, the big Spider-Man question has finally been answered. Earlier today at the Disney Blockbuster Consumer Products presentation, not only did Marvel and Disney reveal a new costume for Spider-Man, but who the three villains are going to be. So let's dive in, talk some Spider-Man, and finally have an answer to this big question. Well, this kind of came out of left field. It was not what I was expecting today, but we finally got some really big answers on Spider-Man. Now, news sometimes comes from some very weird places, and over on Instagram, we got some reports from somebody that was at Disney's Blockbuster Consumer Products presentation in Las Vegas. Now, we have yet to see any big trades chime in on this, so I'm still a little bit up in the air on exactly what's going on. But keep in mind, Disney's collaboration with Formula One and Conan O'Brien's Toy Story 5 role came online last night around the same time this was posted. Now, this was all posted on a guy named Chris Higashi's Instagram account, and he did reveal a pretty great picture of the new Spider-Man costume. Now, this picture is just a classic look we kind of saw at the end of Spider-Man No Way Home, but I am pretty happy to see Peter donning a classic-looking Spider-Man costume and not something that was clearly developed by Tony Stark. Now, this account is interesting because he's not some fanboy or wannabe scooper, so I'm really unsure why he would make it up. Matter of fact, it took about 12 hours or so before anybody even noticed this was posted. Now, according to Chris, who was in attendance for the presentation, they got a sizzle reel and early artwork confirming that Spider-Man Brand New Day will feature three villains: the Scorpion, Boomerang, and Tombstone. Now, if this is true, a very long list of rumors are now full-on debunked, but I am kind of holding out a little bit for some trade confirmation on this. Now, we've been hearing Scorpion could be part of this for a really long time. We all got to meet Matt Gargan in the first Spider-Man film, but at that point in time, he was just sort of a henchman who had direct ties to Adrian Toomes, aka the Vulture. Now, we'd heard the Vulture was coming back, but Matt Gargan's return has been something that's been highly anticipated for a really long time. Now, how he comes to life, well, that's still up in the air, but I do suspect we will definitely get the same actor returning for the part. He was played by Michael Mando in the first film, and more than likely we'll have some sort of origin story for him getting his powers and that classic Scorpion costume, which probably will tie directly to the next villain, Boomerang. Boomerang in the comics is kind of sort of a throwaway character, and actually made his first appearance in Tales to Astonish number 81 back in 1966. Now, he's been associated with a lot of heroes and villains, and even been a member of the Sinister Six. Now, as far as what he's capable of, he'll kind of fit in nicely with other villains like Shocker. He's your basic tech villain. In the comics, he has some light body armor, interestingly enough, jet boots, but obviously most of his gimmicks and powers are built around his boomerangs. This could be almost any variation you could think of, including electro-rangs, razor-rangs, gas-rangs, but it's unclear at this point how many of these will actually be utilized in the movie and how they'll make this presentation, because honestly, it could come off as silly. Now, the other villain announced was Tombstone, and if you're familiar with Marvel Comics, you probably are already pretty aware of who he is. He's been around since Web of Spider-Man number 36 way back in 1987, with his real name being Lonnie Lincoln. Now, in the comics, his body was exposed to a chemical, Diax-3, and that granted him superhuman powers, and I suspect that's exactly what's going to go down in the film. Now, this includes superhuman strength, reflexes, and stamina, as well as durability, so he's definitely one of those villains that could stand toe-to-toe with Spider-Man. Now, like I said, we still don't have full confirmation from Sony or Marvel or the trades, so we're watching this one very closely. It does definitely divert from a lot of the rumors we've been hearing, and obviously it doesn't identify who Sadie Sink is playing in the film, which I found kind of weird because if they were presenting a sizzle reel with Spider-Man Brand New Day, you would think her particular character would have been mentioned. It does seem like we are getting the street-level story we've all been hoping for, but sadly at this point I'm not seeing any suggestions Daredevil could be part of the project, but remember, the Sony-Marvel agreement is that in these Spider-Man films, at least one MCU character will appear. This is why Nick Fury and Doctor Strange were included in the last couple of Spider-Man films, so there's definitely some pieces here we haven't figured out yet, and hopefully when the trades chime in on this particular story, we'll finally get some confirmation. So, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Scorpion, Tombstone, and Boomerang being the villains for Spider-Man Brand New Day? And if this is the case, are you pretty locked in on this street-level hero adventure? Because it sounds like Marvel is. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Before we take off, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and ring the bell for all the updates. We do daily Marvel and DC news, and we want to bring you all the news truthfully and transparently so you're really in the know.